That's all y'all.
Stupid. All right, welcome to the very first episode. Grab your drinks, grab your snacks, grab whatever you want, get comfortable. This is Lessons from the Inside. I'm your host with the most, Carl DeBose. This is my co-host, close to home, Mr. Kendrix Holcombs, and special shout out to the tech, Lex.
We'll just jump in the shower.
Have you ever sat and thought about how your emotional state affects the kind of music you listen to?
Yeah.
Because I noticed that people will think that Uzi's my favorite artist.
Yeah.
Which I mean, kind of probably top 1 to 2, but he's number 1 because
bumping them all the time.
It's because I'm always low key sad though, low key, which is really obviously not good.
Yeah. No, it's not.
But it also he teaches me a lot about myself. Cause there's that clip that I sent you. She got different color long hair. And it teaches me that I think I like toxic women. I think Uzi's taught me to like toxic women, and that's why I like his music. In addition to the whole sadness piece,
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying, but I also feel like hand in hand, it's a vice versa effect too.
You think so?
That the music you listen to also affects your mood as well. So in
reverse.
Yeah. So I know something that a lot of people preach about whenever, especially in a church setting, in a Christianity setting, a lot of times they tell you to turn away from so called secular music. And it's not necessarily that listen to that music is deemed a sin, but it's because you will become a product of what you consume, not just with music, but media as well. So listening to all that, some of my favorite artists, X, Juice WRLD, Ski Mask, Comethazine, Ramble, those are great artists. They have amazing songs, but I don't want to be sitting doing some homework and then all of a sudden feel like I got to go hit a drive-by on somebody. Or,
I swear.
Or I got to make a math problem and then subtract some dude's life from the middle or something like that.
Subtracting some dude's life is wild. That's crazy.
You heard Ramble, bro? I don't know how many shots were fired. More than several.
When people say he talks in Times New Roman, that's fact. You can't argue with that logic because you look at the way he talks and the way that he says certain things. Yeah, it's that's 100%. If I was typing, that's how Ramble's talking. It's so proper.
It is.
But I do get that because even with Lil Wayne. So one of my favorite lines that I'm actually gonna get tatted right here, just for the audience that's watching. You don't have to pay to watch. It's free. You can. It's not an OnlyFans, so you don't have to subscribe
to watch you get tattooed.
I mean, if they want to, I can make that some content for.
Seriously.
Even Siri wants to be involved, so I'm just saying. But one of my favorite lines that Wayne has is 2 of them. One of them is talent is God given, be grateful. Fame is not a given, be humble, and conceit is self-driven, drive carefully. And I keep that with me because I don't know where life's gonna take me, but I do oftentimes want to be an influencer, and I want to whether it be a famous influencer or whether I just touch the lives of the people that are around me. I want that fame to be given to me by God. And religion's a real weird thing for me, but that's the one constant for me is a higher power, that being God. Yeah. So that's a piece that I keep from that line, and then. Talent, so I'm not a naturally talented person, I'll go play basketball. People look at me, they're oh yeah, I want him on my team, he's a little bit more muscular. I'm dog, you don't want me on your team.
It's not like that.
It's I'm gonna be Shaq when it comes to that shooting. The defense is there, but that offense is trash, garbage. And then that's Lex, the tech. In case y'all were curious. But then the conceit of self-driven, drive carefully. I try not to be conceited, and I do fall short. I think Michelle, y'all can't see Michelle, but I think Michelle would argue that I do fall short sometimes as far as Michelle is my friend from the gym. So the conceited part, she will probably see more than most. Because, at the gym, you're typically going to be a little bit more conceited. That's just the nature of that environment.
Yeah.
But I do try to keep that close to my heart because, you know, it's self-driven, blah, 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 whatever. But the second line that really speaks to me was the God came to my side. This is the one that's getting tatted on me. God came to my side and we talked about it. He sold me another life and he made a profit. That one hits harder because it's like the double entendre with the profit, hard. But then you like break it down and you're like, okay, I was gonna die. Like I was gonna end my own life. But God came to me. He was like, "No, you're good." Like so, like yeah, it's hard, but like keep walking through whatever you're dealing with, and you know, speak that good, that positivity, that love that you have in your heart. So like, I think you're right. I think you're right as far as like the music affecting us and us like choosing what music we affect. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's so I agree with you, but
I'm not gonna. That second line hit. That second line hit because you know when people. I don't want to turn this into a religious podcast or anything like that. But when people quote unquote give their life to you know God and Christianity and following that faith, they are one of the things is dying to yourself and being born anew. So like that's one of the big things that comes with that and being affected. Well, you know, listening to that different music is when you're born anew, you walk in a new path, you walk in a different light, different from everybody else around you. So you see things differently and you see just how drastic that this stuff has an effect on people. Cause I remember, what was it? Around the time that XA came out, the big thing was being sad and depressed. And
almost like a trend.
Yes, and that's the thing that made it crazy is like some people were using it as a trend and trying to get clout off of it.
Yeah.
And you still see it nowadays, like no offense to people that do this or anything like that, but when you get on TikTok and you see somebody crying on a video, the first thought that shoots through my mind was you really shedded a tear. You're going through it at this moment. And your first thought was, let me grab some content. Yeah.
That's insane to me. That is so insane. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm sorry. I was looking around. I lost my water. I'm a little bit pressed about it. But that's insane to me that like people will use mental health as exactly what you said, as clout, because one of my biggest struggles in life is mental health. And as is most people, right? Like, because this generation, you know, we're considered soft or, you know, like too sensitive, whatever. But when you break it down, it's not that we're too soft or we're too sensitive. It's that we like recognize that we have a voice. And so like, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they didn't necessarily have like Twitter. They didn't have, well, I mean, they had Twitter, they had Facebook and all those things. But like, you were more or less using it just to keep up with whatever was going on like around the neighborhood. You weren't allowed to just like throw out there, oh yeah, I'm going through this, like whatever. And so like we in the generation that we're in, right, like we understand each other as, you know, like college students, right, going through this tough time. But I remember my brother-in-law and my dad were talking, and my dad, he's in his mid-50s. He was talking about how our generation is too soft because of the whole 4-day work week thing. Yeah. He's like, why don't you want to work, blah, blah, blah. It's not that we don't want to work. It's that working like does mentally take a toll on you. Not because you're having to go out and do something. Like, yeah, that takes a toll, but like you got to earn your dollar however, whatever. That's fine. It's the fact that like when I had a regular like 9-to-5 job, it was a struggle for me because I'm a very family oriented person. And so like me not being able to see at the time, my significant other or my sister or whatever, like that killed me. And I even had a conversation with my sister about that because she, whenever I was like at a very low point in my life, I was like, dang, like I feel bad that I'm not there for, you know, her kids. She was like, you have your own life, like, and that's okay. And so like now that I do work a job where like I don't have a schedule, well, I make my own schedule rather, I make it a point to be there for like as much as I can for those kids, right? And I feel like because the generation before us, so circling back to that point, because the generation before us wasn't focused on you know, mental health and taking care of like what matters to you the most, that's why they consider us soft, is because we like said, hey, no, like fuck that. We're gonna like actually take some time out to figure out what matters to us and how to affect those around us in a positive manner, as opposed to just, oh, every man for themselves. Like every dollar needs to be earned and, you know, fuck the other guy. Like, so.
See, the thing with those older generations is a big topic that goes on nowadays is that toxic masculinity. Back
Yeah.
then, if you showed emotion, you're ousted as a man. You're not considered a man, not considered masculine. You're a punk at that point. And when it comes to those calling us weak because we don't want to work that often or something like that, back in the day, mental health wasn't a talk. It was just, hey, you're a guy. Shut up and just go to work. You got to support your family. You created a family, so now you got to help support them. You may not get to see them all the time. You may not get to hang out with them. You may miss your child's first steps. You may miss that dance recital or something like that. But at the end goal for them was to provide, and they didn't have the opportunity that we have, with this new age, this media, being able to just throw on a camera anywhere in your house and potentially have the ability to go famous in one day. Like, that wasn't an opportunity for them. A lot of them had to go, to an assembly factory, had to go chop up some chickens, had to go dig in the coal mines, for God's sake. And the drastic change within the generations and how we've come as a civilization is like, you could see the change, but something with the older people is they don't understand it because they're so stuck in their own ways.
100%. Yeah.
So they don't see that. All right, I guess this new age is becoming more progressive. There are things that they're doing different than what we did. They were taught to sort of kind of just get past their traumas, not actually work through what they went through.
Oh yeah.
So that was a big thing, was just shut up, go to work, and do what you can to provide for your family and make sure that they can have an okay life.
Right. And that's like a real big thing that I'm honestly even glad that you said something about it, because there's a girl that I'm friends with, and she was telling me about how
I you could have just time and then walk out. Okay, too.
you're okay.
That was your floor.
Bye, Michelle. Be safe.
Bye.
But that even in saying that, that's a really good point, because there's this girl that I was friends with, or am still friends with rather, and she was telling me after her father had passed away, she told me about how she struggles and as anybody would, right? But she was like, oh, I just had to get through it because my mom was gonna take care of it, my sister was gonna take care of it, I had to be the one to take care of it. He made me his this and this, his that, and blah blah blah. I was like, you're strong. She's like, I'm not strong, I just had to. I was like, dang, because that put a lot into perspective for me. Because the reason she said she had to was because she was raised old school. I wasn't raised old school. I was raised by, I think my dad tried to kind of raise me old school.
Yeah.
But being that everything that was going on with me was going on, you couldn't, right? I was not one of those. I was going to show my emotion. My mom, on the other hand, she's a mental health professional. So she knew, okay, yeah, we need to talk about this. We need to, handle it XYZ kind of way. And so in what you're saying, as far as the piece of us having to recognize the difference between the old school way versus the new school way, that's definitely powerful. And there's a lot of other factors that really affect our generation's mental health, as well as, I would argue, millennials, because the whole social media boom and the whole internet as a whole has really affected our mental health in such a drastic way. Because if I log on to TikTok and I scroll for maybe 15 minutes, I could easily find something that has probably discredited my character 5 different ways. And not my character specifically, typically, but the character of, my people, whether it be black people, whether it be males, whether it be straight men, whatever, it's so easy to find different things attacking the groups that we're in. And Dave Chappelle, he made a really good point. He talked about man is so funny.
This is a lot of man, bro.
Man is so funny. But he made a real good point when he was talking about Anthony Bourdain and how the man was living the best life. He was, traveling all around the world. He was eating good food, all these different things. The man killed himself. But then he talks about this dude that he knew that fell to rock bottom working at a Foot Locker, living with his mom still, and it's the happiest he could ever be. And because the older generation doesn't recognize what we do struggle with and how we have overcame certain things to battle mental health, they are still seeing us as we elementary, or however they choose to see us. Maybe we'll have somebody that's older than us talk about mental health with us. I think this generation in particular, though, struggles with mental health because of relationships. Like, and not even just romantic relationships, friendships as well.
Okay.
Cause like I have in the past 3 years, I've lost the longest romantic relationship I've been in, the longest friendship I've been in, and a relationship with, a family member, right? Like that, I'm supposed to be close with. And like all three of those took the heaviest toll on my mental health, like heaviest. I'd argue, obviously the romantic one took the heaviest toll. Yeah. Like, cause that's a different kind of love, whatever.
It really is.
But like that friendship one, it hits you like a truck because you don't expect it. Cause like that was somebody who I was friends with since, like junior high. And so in my head, I'm thinking, oh, well, we made it this far. We got to make it like through anything. Yeah. Nah, I mean, that's just how the cookie crumbles, is that typically, and that's another thing about the older generation that kind of kills me a little bit. Cause they're right in some regards, but like they're not most of the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Cause like I remember in school being taught that like, oh, whoever you're best friends with in high school, that's not gonna last. Like statistically speaking, that's not gonna last. Yeah. And I thought to myself, I was like, if that had not been imprinted in our minds, I'm sure a lot of friendships would still be like at their peak. Like, because I mean, no matter how far away you move, like, you, Glenn, Michelle, Cassidy, like all my closest friends, like no matter how far you move, shoot, she's moving 6 hours away, and I'm still gonna be like best friends with her. Like, I'm gonna call you every day. Like, hey, did you make it to the gym? Are you pumping? Like, did you do everything you were supposed to? Yeah. Like, but when you lose those, they do. It hurts. Like, it definitely hurts. And I mean, you can't argue. No matter what generation you're from, you can't argue that it doesn't hurt. You can only argue how you actually battle it. Yeah. And so, like,
yeah, I get that, and. Lord's will that I wasn't the most social kid back in the day. I had a few friends, was quote unquote associates with everybody else. So for the most part, I still have all my people around me. Shout out Marsh. You already know who it is. If y'all looking at how y'all doing, you already know my boys. Shout out my homeboy Trent, killing it in Qatar, double entendre. But yeah. So like the only one that I've like actually really been through is the emotional one, the actual romantic relationship. Me and this girl, we were together for a good little minute, and throughout that time that we were together, we went through so much, and it's weird because like I never really saw myself the type of person, get a girlfriend, all right, we lasting this out, and then I'm gonna marry. But going through all that and being with that person, and we went through so much, and we made that emotional connection on such a deep level that when it all fell apart, it kind of just like murdered me in a sense. Like everything came crashing down. But
it's like an empty, hollow feeling in you almost.
Yeah. And I was raised the old school way. That, and I have an old soul to the heart. I listen to smooth jazz on the regular. I listen to old school blues. I got an old soul at heart. So I was one of those, all right, cool, it happened, but the sun still rose. So I got to move on and got to keep pushing. And, a lot of times when I'm talking to my friends, I still have to understand that, it's part of the new generation. Is like, you can't really do that. Now it's okay to look at these aspects and look at how mental health affects you and see these things. And, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to keep at least my friends, my family members for the most part. Love y'all guys. Hopefully y'all don't, stab me in my back and nothing. But something that I feel like the reason that these come about is because we losing our friendships and things like that is the cravings of people as a species, as humans, we're greedy. Oh, yeah. So a lot of these loss of relationships, whether it be friendships or romantic relationships, is craving for selfish reasons. Whether it be your homeboy backdoored you for either some money, or a girl a girl backdoored you because she was unhappy for 5 minutes or something like that. A lot of these songs are weird to think about, but a common theme is they'll talk about how you never have an enemy cross your line. It's always the closest ones to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's that thing about that greed. That's what gets to people. That's what the death of a lot of relationships come from. And it's sad to see. And a lot of people just don't even realize it because not even really the generation, people as a whole are selfish. They want what they want when they want it. And it gets to the point that they don't really care about what's happening. And it sucks to see because a lot of these friendships you and somebody could be so powerful, y'all could take over the world. Yeah. A group of people, y'all could take over the world, become some of the biggest CEOs, company builders. Y'all could do so much good. But homie thought that your girlfriend back in middle school was cool. So he went behind your back and was like, man, he not good for you. He not treating you right. Let me do all that. And it's just stupid that people would even think to do something like that.
100%. No, I'm with you. That and the romantic piece, like as you know, that was something that touched. No, cause let me tell you that romantic, that man. There was. I'm sure she'll see this. Like, so I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. But there's, of course, the girl that I dated for 6 years. No names, no face, no case.
Damn, 6 of them. That's long.
But a girl I dated for 6 years. At this point, anybody that sees this is gonna know who I'm talking about. But no, all love for her, right? Because like you look at like how you said, like the people that do you wrong, it's crazy because when it came to the romantic aspect of like the hurt that I went through, it wasn't the wrong, or I'm not any like backdooring that was did to me. It was like the power of love is just so tricky, right? It's because like people can explain to you, oh well, you're not in love, or you know you are in love, or you don't know what love is, or you do know what love is, you're just not doing it right, like whatever, right? Because we're young.
Yeah.
But like when I did fall in love with that person, I was not ready for everything that came with being in love with somebody, and it ended up hurting us both in the end. And so when we split apart and then came back together, like as I matured and as I learned what it meant to love, it was too late. Like because everything that happened on both sides happened. And so like people to this day will actually ask me, like, how are you still okay with her? Or like are y'all okay to like be cool with each other? And like I told her, granted, I'm kind of mean to her, like if I see her in person, and I don't necessarily mean to be. It's just like because we were implanted with that whole "you're not supposed to like your ex" thing, that like it almost like in my head, I was still hanging on to that piece of like hurt and anger in me. Anytime I saw her. But at the end of the day, what it really amounts to is like I still have love for the girl. Like I'm gonna always still have love for you. There's never gonna be a day that goes by that I'm not rooting for you. Like I see she is with somebody else, and like that was the moment that I knew, like, okay, you don't need me. So like you're straight, you're fine. Like, and I think that's what it really, really, and at least in my case, took for things to be okay. And so like if I love somebody, whether it be an ex or like a best friend, because even my best friend, I had the same mindset. It's like, okay, well, I'm hurt because I was somebody that you needed at some point. I was somebody you relied on. But the moment that I see that you're like doing well and like you don't need me anymore, you're not, in her case, you're not calling me for like, oh, my tire went flat. You're not calling me to say, oh, can you go take out, the dog? Like you're not calling me for these things that you used to call me for. You have somebody else that you can call me for or call them for to do those things. We're good. Like I'm happy for you. I'm excited to see where life takes you. And so like, yeah, for like a minute, there's that hurt. But again, one thing that I do think is so strong about this generation is that we're able to like take the love and the positivity that we see in that hurt and let it overshadow and just outweigh that hurt, right? Yeah. And so like I think the only one that I will say I haven't managed to like do correctly is the family member who I need to have a better relationship with. Honestly, I might even call her after this podcast. Probably not, but I might. I don't know. We're gonna see. But like, yeah, it's so interesting to see like, oh well, because I was a big grudge holder. Like as a kid, huge grudge holder. So it's interesting like for other people to see me and be like, oh yeah, he's not like angry with this person, or he's not like, you know, holding a grudge against this person. Well, they're okay. Yeah. Because like at the end of the day, whether I hate you or I love you, I loved you first. So like because I loved you first, I need that love to like, no matter how I feel about you at the end of the day, I need that love to like work wonders in your life. Because if it doesn't, then I mean, what was the love for? We did not leave each other better than we found each other, kind of thing. And but I think the other piece of that, which this is not good advice, but I think the other piece of that is also the fact that there have been or has been recently, you know, another person to enter my life and kind of show me the love that I think that I was craving. Because there was that time period where like I was giving myself to everybody in not so Christian, politically correct ways. Like a lot of people were getting more than they definitely needed to get from.
All right now.
I'm saying like because I gotta keep it. What do they say? Keep it right real but not raw or something like that. So I'm gonna keep it real, but I won't keep it too raw. It's like they were getting so much of me, and like because they were getting so much of me, like there was pieces of my heart that were being like just shotgun all across the board. And so when I started to take those pieces back, when I started to reserve my body, my soul, my spirit, my mind, my emotions for me, then it was like, okay, well, this one person that's in my life now, I can give you a piece. Like I can give you the key or the code to my heart. You can come over on the weekends. And then once we're like comfortable, okay, well, you can stay the night. And then once we're comfortable, and this is all in my heart. At this point, that girl can stay the night any night she wants. Like she's already earned that one. But like, I think the other piece, like the final piece, and I know I'm taking up so much talking time, but I think the final piece of it is like being able to have those hard conversations and being able to go through those hardships by virtue of those hard conversations, or vice versa, really, allows us to then like say, okay, well, one, this is my worth. These are my standards. This is what I strive to be in my own life. And this is how I'm going to build myself up before I allow anybody else to add anything to my life, whether it be positive or negative. Of course, you don't want to allow anybody to add negative, but you know, like I think that negativity is good for friction to happen, for growth to happen. Which that's something that, you know, we talk about at the barbershop, and you've been there for those conversations. Yeah. That friction of the hard relationships does promote growth in emotionally, spiritually, physically. I don't know. It's just a lot as far as that piece goes. So.
Love, relationships, anything like that is tricky because of just everything that comes from it. Now, obviously, this is the thing that sucks, but not everybody is meant for you, and not all relationships are created equal. Not all love is created equal. So the thing that comes out of a lot of relationships more than we would like are lessons and growth rather than the thing that we want.
Lessons from the inside.
I mean, yeah, you already know. Because a lot of people try to hop in while they're young.
Right.
But the thing about that is one of two things. You've either never been in a real relationship and don't know what to look for, or you're missing something and you're trying to get it out of that, or two, you've been quote unquote having these fake relationships throughout all your life. Yeah. So you don't honestly know how to create that emotional attachment, and you still don't know what you're looking for.
Right.
So sometimes it sucks. You will have to have a couple test runs, but that's not the case for everybody. Oh yeah. Some people marry their middle school sweethearts, their high school sweethearts, and you know, a lot of us strive to be like that, but it's not always like that. Sometimes, like I said, love isn't always the same. So how you might like to be loved may not be the same for somebody. And that's something that you got to take into account. That's something that what other people don't understand about relationships is for the longest time, I felt this way as well. Relationships aren't a purely based off of love thing.
Right.
Relationships are like business. It's gonna take two partners coming together, willing to make it work. So it's gonna be some days that you're sick of your partner and you can't stand them to anything. But you got to be able to come back and be like, okay, this is more of a long-term investment, more than a short-term investment. Right. I may not be happy at this moment. They may have just pissed me off because they broke a chandelier or something like that. But how will I feel when I wake up tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's like the love for that person that you have has to be more than what that is. And something that you were talking about was even in the aftermath of a relationship, how the love overcomes the hate that you should have for a person. That's one thing that I love about our generation. If we've learned more to forgive and let be than holding on to that grudge. Holding on to something like that cost you more than it would just to let it go and be unbothered with that person.
Yeah.
Those grudges like eat at you spiritually.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know how many people out there are spiritual, not necessarily in a religious text, but just energy and things like that within the universe. Grudges are negative energy that hold on to you and eat at you and weigh you down. Those are things that can affect your emotion, affect your mental state and stuff like that. Cause like the brain is so powerful.
Right.
The brain it does so much. And holding on to that negative energy, that trash within the back of your mind stinks up the house.
Oh yeah.
And having a stunk house is not the best environment to be in. So it's like that type of stuff you got to let go and you got to recognize what it is versus what it isn't.
100%. No, you hit the nail on the head because like I remember one of the things I had to like essentially teach myself in that last romantic relationship I had was like so I'm a big car person. So like, I have my Charger out there and I baby the life out of that car. But I in learning about how to take care of that car, I realized certain things. So like I could put the cheaper, oil in there, right? And it'll last me as long as it needs to until, it doesn't. And then I got to just keep replacing it. I can put the cheaper brake pads on there. I can put the, inexpensive coolant in there, whatever, right? And it'll last me however. I think that's how I view emotions, right? Because like if I don't put the cheaper stuff in there, my car's going 20,000 miles longer. And it's my engine is clean, right? If I don't put the cheaper brake pads on there, I'm less likely to have brake failure and I won't get hurt, right? If I don't put forth the energy to be upset about something or hold something in my heart, then after a certain point, I feel like I've ultimately won, right? And not that it's like a battle between you and whomever, but I've ultimately won myself back, right? Because I don't. You're right. Like relationships are businesses, and in my job is to learn how to run a business. And my boss told me, he was like, you can get money back, you can get materials back, you can get all that stuff back, but you cannot get time back. That is the one thing that's not refundable whatsoever. And so it's like, okay, well, if I sit there and I tell myself, oh, well, I'm gonna be sad about this, I've lost equity in myself, right? But if I emotionally positively invest in my emotions, then I built interest, I built compound interest, and I built the equity inside of myself to then at that point, whatever relationship, whether again it be romantic, whether it be familial, whether it be platonic, whatever it is, like then I can properly invest into that other person properly, right? And so like you and Glenn, for example, our friendship is so interesting, right? Because like we're three drastically different people, right? But at the end of the day, we work so hard individually that like if we need a haircut, we can go to Glenn, right? Because he's invested in himself, so now he can invest in us, right? If y'all need videography done or you need something done with your car, you can come to me because like I've invested in my stuff, so now I can invest in y'all, right? If we need some sort of like social media presence, or we need like an idea for something, or like this, right? If I need a co-host that could actually like bounce off me with some chemistry, we can invest in you, right? Because we've invested so much into ourselves. Even Lex, right? Like he's He's an introvert.
Even man. I guess that guy too.
That sounds so bad. But like that's a conversation that our third roommate and myself and I'm sure y'all have had as well, is that like we all three bring something so unique to this household about ourselves. And so Lex is like a very musically inclined and audio inclined. He's an entertainment person, right? Like he can do all the logistics. I'm an introvert, right? People don't believe that. People do not believe that I'm an introvert at all, right? But secretly, I promise you I'm an introvert. I promise I don't like talking to people, right? It was just who my family is. Like, nah. if you I'm gonna take the hat off.
Be for real.
I'm gonna take the hat completely off so people know that it's not cap, okay? So people know, fresh cut. Go see my boy Glenn Brewer at West Ark Barber School. $5 cut.
Nah, Glenn will get you right. He bald though, but Glenn will get you right.
That's insane. That's it. For the listeners, I'm not bald. I'm just going through a hair identity crisis. Yeah. That's all it is at the end of the day. But I'm secretly an introvert. I promise you I secretly am. But when that camera turns on, like you will see a whole different version of me. You'll see a drastically different version of me. Like, so at nighttime when I'm walking through the house, they're lucky to get like 5 words out of me. Now Ryan, I'll admit, what he brings to the table is he can make anybody talk.
Ryan will get it out of you.
Anybody can talk. And it's crazy because like when you combine all three of those, you can build such beauty because everybody has invested in a piece of their lives so that we can collectively invest in one another, right? And it's interesting, right? When it comes to relationships and of any kind. And one thing you did say, I gotta backtrack a little bit because it was kind of funny to me. It was the high school sweetheart thing. So I remember listening to Cold December not when it came out, but like when Rod Wave dropped. I think it was Beautiful Minds.
Yeah.
And he was like, sometimes I sit and think about my high school sweetheart, but times change, people change and grow apart. Yeah. So the high school sweetheart line, I remember posting it on my story, and my ex, who was my high school sweetheart, she slid up, she gave me those little eye emojis. And like I wasn't trying to attack her by any means. Like it was like, dang, like I feel that. But then it's the times change, people change and grow apart. That like the older I get, the more I understand that. It's like, damn, like that's true. Like that is so true. Because I look back and I think to myself, like when I was, again, back in junior high, or I'm sorry, not junior high, high school, my thought process was the people that made it this far in my life surely like are going to make it to the umpteenth part of my life. Like the person that I was best friends with for like 8 years, I thought was going to be my best man at my wedding. Now we don't talk. Like we do not say a word to each other. And like I know now that like the best good Lord, I'm sorry to I'm so sorry to the audio listeners, my fault. But a little bit of ASMR for you. No, but like I know that like if I ever make it to getting married, which like I said, a little thing, kind of.
That's your wife right there, man.
But if I ever make it to getting married, I recognize that who my best men, like one of the two, will be now, right? And it's crazy to think about. It's crazy to look back at, again, how music has like slowly kind of pushed us to a certain point in life, but then also like how much our life outside of music has inadvertently pushed us to certain like types of artists. So like Glenn, I'm gonna keep referencing. Hopefully he shows up on a podcast one day.
He is, yeah. He gonna pull up.
He has to, because we gotta have some certain conversations with Glenn.
On game we do. If you watch this, GB, you already know what we're talking about.
we gonna have them conversations with you. He excited too. I know he excited. Vicariously he excited. But he listens to calmer music, right? And like so, he'll be listening to like Smino. And he's a calmer person. He's a more, relaxed, reserved person. I know you listen to Chance, right? And I know that you like, you have that like energy about you that's like so just happy-go-lucky, right? Again, I'm listening to Uzi. And so like
I found my bestie. Someone call my bestie.
Look at me in the chat. You know what I was looking at that. I'll be hot too.
Next week.
No, I had to let her go because she can't
Arrest me.
That's fucking so hard. Oh my god. But
Good song. That was a great song.
that's a solid song.
Shout out to you if you watching.
Man, I need y'all to like, subscribe, and share.
Bro,
so
tag Lil Uzi Vert, what was this alter ego? Leslie. Do what you gotta do. We need I gotta see this, man.
I need Uzi on this pod. I don't care how much it costs. I will sell my charger. Like I will however we get Uzi on this podcast.
$1 back now.
I need him. Because if I can meet or Wayne. If we get Wayne on this podcast, oh my God. I would die. I'd probably be like, he'd be talking the entire time, waiting for me to ask him a question. I'd be like,
He's sitting there.
What you say? But like, and I recognize that through us listening to all these different kinds of music, like that, it does speak volumes as to who we are as people. So like, you know, from time to time, you know, I'll listen to some grimy stuff, like Rule Book, that song, Rule Number 1, if you can't do what you do, they'll never fold. I'm not a gangster. I'm not gang affiliated by any means. Like I have family members that are gang affiliated, as most people do, right? Yeah. But I am not gang affiliated whatsoever. But when I hear that song, like you said earlier this episode, like I kind of want to hit like a vicious lick on somebody. Like I kind of want to like, and that's horrible. That's real bad at the end of the day. But I kind of just like, I'm like, man, I could rob somebody. I'm like, that'd be cool.
Quick tip: if you listen to anything, any of the artists that we've said, like he said, Rule Book, that's a good song. Don't repeat the actions mentioned in that song. I said an artist that I thoroughly enjoy, Comethazine. Don't know if you see his headshots, he look like a demon. Love that man to death. His song's hard. No, well, what was that song? Look for it till we find them. Laser beam ain't at us eyes that'll blind them. Clips like a movie, but you can rewind them. No, okay, yeah,
that
good man, song. Very dangerous. Don't repeat that.
Scary. He is terrifying. But yeah, like looking like when you break it down and you look at like the different kinds of music. So like back in high school, like was I still listening to Uzi? Yeah, I would listen to Uzi from like time to time. I say that I was listening to him heavily.
I was too.
Love Is Rage 2 came out. I was bumping that every day. But like, I was also listening to like Kyle, and I remember I Spy dropped, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's a one-hit wonder," whatever. Well, then, like, you start listening to, like, his other stuff. So, like, Playing With Me, featuring Kehlani. Yeah. Hard song. That was actually a breakup song for me. That was a real big breakup song for me. Because he was like, girl, why are you playing with me? Because you don't even like girls. So, I need you to tell me that. Like, that was hard. That was, because it was like, huh? 42 minutes. Oh, are we? Yep.
Well,
productive.
We've been hitting it. I ain't go.
Yeah, I got a timer for the audio listeners, so like, y'all better have some time set aside for this.
Put this on as background noise while you cooking in the kitchen.
I swear,
or something like that. If you want the ASMR, we'll give it to you. I got a calming voice. I like to think.
I know how a calming voice. They're gonna be stressed out listening to me. They're gonna be like, "Is he white or black?" They're gonna be so confused. Cause I swear, when I was this is horrible. I shouldn't admit this like on camera, but like it is what it is now. Like I shouldn't. But when I was in high, it was my senior year. We had concurrent classes, WotC. Yeah. And I remember I used to pretend. So voice was a lot higher pitched back then. Like even though I was a senior, I was 18, whatever. I like would pretend to be everybody's mom to get us out of. Yeah, it was good. And I'm telling. And the fact that they believed me was a testament to how low my self-esteem really was. Because, like, I thought to myself, I was like, y'all really have me out here thinking I sound like a white woman on the phone. Well, what was crazy was, like, of course, as I graduated, I started being able to be home, like, by myself. Yeah, I stayed at home till I was 19. Don't judge me, okay? I was engaged by 20. There was a lot that, like, maybe I should have done better in life.
Moving faster than some of y'all out there.
Right, you know. But like So I would do that, and whenever I called to like order a pizza, because this wasn't before you could order a pizza on the phone, as far as like an app goes. This was just before it became like actually user friendly.
Yeah.
And so like I would call and I'd be like, hey, can I get a large pepperoni jalapenos on it delivered to such and such address? Yeah, y'all can't figure out where I live, not yet. Unless you're shoddy. I'm just kidding. Kind of. Anyways, I'd be like, can you deliver to such and such address? You're kidding. I'm kidding a little bit.
Alright, move on.
They would be like, they'd be so shocked to see this like young black boy at the, because I couldn't call myself a man at that point. I wasn't paying the bills. I was not paying a single bill. But they were shocked to see this young black boy like at the door whenever I would answer, and like again, I was a boy, so I was irresponsible with money. And they were even more shocked that I just saw this black kid that like I was tipping him $20-$30 for like just a pizza. Yeah, I was not good with money. I grew up like not good with money, bro. I'm telling you, like I grew up in such a non-struggle way. Like and like it almost like when I hear other people's like stories of like struggle meals.
Yeah.
Like I almost wish I would have grown up that way so that I didn't like do stupid stuff like that. Like, and I'm thankful for like how I grew up. I'm extremely blessed, and I am incredibly blessed for how I grew up. But if I'd have grown up with one like just like bread sandwich or a syrup sandwich, I probably would have been a way better person. Like, honest to God, like because or what was it? Fried Spam? Is that a struggle meal?
No, yeah.
Yeah. If I'd had fried Spam growing up, my dad had it. That's the crazy part. My dad had it, but it was just never a thing for us. It was my mom's fault. She's bougie. So I'm bougie. In turn. My sister's not bougie.
Well, I am the opposite of bougie, but I eat anything. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I need to be like that. I'm so picky. Like, because like, what was crazy was like, whenever I was, again, giving myself to people, like I would take some certain people out on dates. I'd be like, let's go get sushi. They were like, you want sushi? I'm like, yeah. I was like, sushi's my favorite meal. Like, yeah, sushi's good. They were like, you don't want like a burger? And I'm like, nah.
No. Why?
I can get a burger anyway. I can make a burger at home. That's it. Do you see that Nagasaki roll? I want that. I don't think it was called that. Is that racist? That might be. I'm sorry.
Forgive us, please.
I really didn't. You can edit that out.
Matter of fact, I was saying, for those of y'all, this is a Nagasaki roll.
That's gonna be the TikTok clip. That's gonna be the TikTok. The clip that we post on TikTok is just.
I gotta look it up now.
That's crazy.
No, you're right. Okay,
that's a real roll.
Yeah.
I want an apology from anybody that said it was racist. I wanted a thorough apology. Can you hear the audio listeners? Apologies. I want it sent in. Mm-hmm. But like, yeah, I would look at the sushi rolls and I was like, dang, like I want that. And it's like it's kind of my dad's fault too, because he likes sushi, right? But here's why it's my mom's fault. My dad admitted that he did not know the difference between cuts and steaks until my mom. Bougiest woman ever. She produced a bougie son. She did. And so whatever woman I marry, hopefully she likes to cook. I love cooking. So, like, I don't mind if, like, you don't like to cook. But if you do like to cook, you got your work cut out for you. On the days that I don't cook. Like, you got your... Because, listen, I'm not going to force you to cook anything. Never that, right? We can compromise. Like, every, like, Tuesday you cook. If you could just make me, like, a sushi roll, like, I'm cool with that. I don't know. That's where my standards are.
Sushi not hard, though. You just got to get the right ingredients.
Listen, sushi isn't hard. It's just that, like, it's, like, you got to be kind of meticulous with certain pieces. You do. And, like, I'm not a patient person. Like, you seen the pizzas I make. I'm not patient. I'm like, I need this done. Like, which is a horrible trait to have when you're cooking. Like, really definitely, you need patience. But, like, I'm just like, whatever. Like, it'll be all right kind of person.
I like to cook well. We both like to cook. He do. Like you said, he don't do good with patience, so he can't cook a lot of the extravagant stuff. I'm okay with patience. I made ramen. That took me 10 hours one day, and you know what? Yeah, broth from scratch, noodles from scratch, everything. You made them. Okay. I made the ramen.
You had the little what's it, mandolin or whatever?
No, the noodle maker.
Yeah, yes. That probably was.
No, the mandolin is the slicer.
I have one of those. I have one, and I even used it yesterday to make fries. That's crazy.
That's why.
That's insane.
The mandolin.
I should remember what a mandolin is because I cut my fingerprint off with a mandolin. It was crazy. Like I was trying to like. There was a potato that was stuck, and in my head, I was like, "Yeah, I can push it through with my finger." Ooh. You can't.
No, you know.
You cannot. You gotta like if you're gonna unstick it, lower the blades. If it's one of those that lifts up, just lift it up. Call it a day. Take a knife, cut the rest of them. Cause me personally, I couldn't play basketball. Well, I can't play basketball as it is, but I really couldn't play for like 2 weeks. It was bad, and the youth kids were like dogging me out.
I'm not gonna. I slid half of my thumb like last week with them.
It's crazy. You'd be like, huh, that's crazy. I didn't even feel it at first. That's the weird part. Like I've never broken a bone, but I feel like if I, we got hardwood floors. Shout out Chris Illusion, good landlord. But I feel like if I would have, dang, I lost my train of thought. If I would have broken a bone, right? Like if I would have ever had a bone that broke, I would not feel it at first.
No, you wouldn't, because the adrenaline pump through your body. It's like you don't really feel the impact of anything that happens at that moment because your body's just going so crazy from being in protection mode from whatever you're doing. It's like it's not really like it's not like you notice it at that moment.
Right.
So.
It's just like it's almost like this immediate one and done thing. Almost. Yeah, that's
But how do we get to broken bones? What are we talking about? Relationships?
We were talking about relationships. Maybe we went from like broken heart to broken bones. But all that being said, I think that we have definitely learned a lot from this episode. And I think that we have definitely hit on a lot of talking points. I do want to thank all of our audio listeners, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music, whatever we decide to put this out on. I want to thank all of y'all for making some time to listen to Lessons from the Inside. This was the first episode. Give us a little bit of grace. Give us a little bit of patience. Give us a little bit of hope.
Please.
Be ready to look further on the inside. Special shout out again to Lex. Special shout out to my co-host Kendrix. And special shout out to Michelle. She left halfway through. Personally, I wouldn't take that. Lessons from the Inside family. But if you, did you take it because she left during your shift? I did take it. I guess by technical default, I did. Let it slide. I do have to let it slide. I'm a fighter in the gym.
You shouldn't have said what you said because now you look like a hypocrite, and that ruins all credibility.
Episode 2 hypocrisy. No. But I do still want to thank y'all all for like taking some time out to actually listen to us ramble on about relationships, ramble on about the hard stuff, and then get into the joking stuff. By the way, quick poll for everybody, and y'all can leave it in the comments. Between Popeyes, KFC, and let's say Chick-fil-A. Let's say Chick-fil-A. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. They got chicken. I mean, that's their whole gimmick, right? Where are we ranking those? Because KFC tastes like dog water. Chick-fil-A has social issues. They're okay, but they have social issues. Popeyes tastes like they fight people. That's some ghetto chicken. And ghetto chicken. No, actually, forget Chick-fil-A. Churches. Where do we rank churches in this argument? Because churches, you never find churches in a good neighborhood. We do have one.
Zero?
It's zero. It's where Zero and Towson meet. Yeah. Not in a good neighborhood.
I don't go there. Yeah.
It's dangerous.
To eat
I've been a couple times.
Yeah, no, I pass it a lot, but it's just
it's like you look at it and you're like, huh. I don't think I should go there. I think that place probably gets robbed once a week. Like
the building does look like them.
It does. Like it's insane. And so I don't know. Anyways, that's where we'll wrap it. But yeah, where do y'all rank that?
Be honest, bro. If you like KFC, don't let nobody skew your vision.
Where do you go get your chicken at? If those are the
Popeyes.
Okay.
Popeyes, 100% Popeyes.
Okay, Popeyes, cool. I love Popeyes. KFC, I'm cool with y'all too. Love y'all. Churches, yeah, I like y'all.
You like churches? I will say, I've eaten whenever I was with,
yeah, okay.
I remember, I think this is how I knew she like hated me. Like, it's because after I got a tooth pulled and I was on that like laughing gas or whatever, like I wasn't supposed to eat. So she like took me for whatever reason. Popeyes was way closer, but for whatever reason, she took me to KFC to get mashed potatoes. I was like, why would you do this? I hate, when have you ever seen me eat KFC? Like, I hate KFC. She was like, well, it's right there and blah, blah, blah. I was like, Popeyes was down the street. You had to go 5 miles for this KFC. It was, man, I was mad. I was heated. KFC tastes like depression.
Wow, no,
It does. It does.
Maybe it's just me growing up unpicky, bro. I eat Long John Silver. I admitted it. Long John Silver. I'm not mad at you.
You ate Long John Silver?
I grew up on it, bro. I'm sorry.
You grew up on it.
Arrest me if you have to.
No.
Arrest me if you have to.
Don't judge me.
I'm judging you.
That fish combo, that beer batter fish.
Nah, miss me with that. Y'all have a great
Yeah. Catch up. Catch up.